One king, two kingmakers. Allies lay eyes on plum posts. Tug of war for key portfolios. JDU makes demands on Agniveer, One Nation One Poll and UCC. BJP's tightrope walk. Churn in NDA camp.
The demands have started coming in, whether it is about issues, whether it is about big announcements, whether it is about plum posts, whether it is about cabinet berths. The realities of coalition politics have exploded for Modi 3.0. I'm Shiv. We're going to take you through those in just a short while. There's also a live press conference by Rahul Gandhi. First, as always, the headlines. Stage set for Modi's big swearing-in for the third historic time. Sources say the oath-taking ceremony will now be held on June the 9th. That's this Sunday. SAARC nation leaders invited for a ceremony as well. NDA allies begin to flex their muscle a little. JDU demands Agniveer scheme review. Chandrababu Naidu submits 10 demands. BJP arms itself against arm twisting. Sources say they will not cave to any unreasonable demand. The BJP is still strongest. Big buzz for Rahul Gandhi to take over as Lok Sabha leader of the opposition. Congress mounts pressure on the Gandhi scion after the party's improved Lok Sabha result. 99 seats is what the Congress managed. TDP chief Chandrababu Naidu pushes his swearing-in ceremony in Andhra Pradesh to June the 12th. Sources say oath-taking postponed to accommodate Modi's ceremony on June the 9th. Horrifying twist to Tamil Nadu power battle. A goat with BJP chief Annamalai's picture slaughtered on camera. BJP hits out claims. DMK's reality, its disgusting hate politics, has been exposed. Some party chief Chandrababu Naidu will be reaching Delhi from Amravati by 11 p.m. this evening. Remember, he is now the Modi government's biggest ally, enabling Modi 3.0. He, along with all TDP members of parliament, will participate in the NDA meet at the old parliament building tomorrow. The first NDA meet took place yesterday. The second will be taking place at the old parliament building tomorrow, where a more detailed discussion will take place on the various alliance modalities, what the formula is going to be, what the demands are, perhaps even portfolios. So the big meeting between Prime Minister Modi, to-be Prime Minister Modi, as well as the others, will be taking place at this big second NDA alliance meeting tomorrow. Let's go straight across to India Today's Abdul Bashir for more on this. Abdul, Chandrababu Naidu leaving for Delhi later tonight. He was in Delhi yesterday, back to Delhi today. Lots of flights being taken. What are you hearing about the demands that Naidu is expected to make? We're hearing a lot of speculation about speaker's post and plum positions in the cabinet, etc. What are you hearing about what Naidu is going to put on the table potentially tomorrow in the NDA meeting?
Well, what we are hearing is that Nara Chandrababu Naidu is going to leave to Delhi today at 11 p.m. along with all the 16 elected MPs who will tomorrow participate in the NDA meeting that is set to be held in the old Parliament building. So here today there was a 2-hour-long discussion held headed by Nara Chandrababu Naidu, where all the TDP MPs had participated. Many discussions and suggestions have been taken, and tomorrow is where everything will be discussed about what would be the TDP stand and what they are expecting. Now, what we are learning through our sources is that all the important portfolios are which have been requested by the TDP, especially now here a shocking fact is that the TDP along with a speaker's post has also requested for a home department, civil aviation, agriculture and irrigation portfolio as a 6 cabinet ministries that they have requested, among which these 4 are the most important that have been requested by TDP is what we are hearing. So tomorrow Chandrababu Naidu will be present in the meeting, the NDA meeting along with the MPs.
Stay with me, Abdul. We're going to get into more detail. I want to go across to Akshita Nandagopal, who's live from Amravati, which is important for the Telugu Desam Party and personally for Nara Chandrababu Naidu. Akshita, lots of jet setting, not surprising at all. Not a moment's peace for Mr. Naidu. I'm sure he's trying to get some power naps before the real power begins, both, at the state and the center. What are you hearing? Right now, everything is happening behind closed doors. All we get are some images of these meetings. Big NDA meeting tomorrow. What are you hearing, Akshita?
That's right, Shiv. Hours ago, there was essentially a meet where Chandrababu Naidu strategized how exactly to go about negotiating for these cabinet berths. What will they settle with? Here's what we're hearing, Shiv. Civil aviation, something that the TDP has held before. Think Ashok Gajapati Raju. That could be a portfolio that the TDP sticks to, saying this is our demand. Besides that, we're hearing the steel ministry, something that the TDP is keen on. Initially, they were pushing for about 5 to 6 cabinet berths, but we're hearing that they are happy if they get about 2 to 3 berths as well, and that includes an MOS position. There are several names doing the rounds right now. There are many senior faces in the TDP, but you could also see youngsters, the likes of Ram Mohan Naidu, the likes of Parthasarathy from Hindupur. All of them, we're being told, are front runners of sorts. Magunta Srinivasulu Reddy is also a front runner right now to be picked by the TDP to be a part of the union cabinet. Chandrababu Naidu, we're told, has a list of names that he's going with, as well as a list of, a wish list, essentially, a list of cabinet berths that he wants, which he's going to be taking to Delhi come tonight. And from tomorrow, it'll be all the hard bargaining that we're going to be seeing playing out in Delhi as well. Chandrababu Naidu, of course, a political veteran, a master tactician. He's going to make it very clear that with 16 seats, he will most definitely call the shots on which cabinet berths he wants. Having said that, they're not really eyeing any of the big 5 or any of those shifts. They are looking for berths like civil aviation and steel is what we're hearing.
Poulomi, this is a very familiar kind of atmosphere political reporters will be finding themselves in, which they haven't seen for over a decade. The smell of UPA days is here, when the power centers were bargaining and people were demanding plum posts and there was a lot of whispers in the corridors about who's going to get what. I remember the Radia tapes from those days as well. But what are you hearing right now? The TDP and Naidu obviously going to play hardball. So is Nitish. Any preview you're getting from the ground about what's going to happen in the meeting tomorrow? The BJP appears to be holding on to its guns. With 240 seats, it's not like it can be a pushover either.
Absolutely. Like Akshita pointed out, the top ministries on North Block and South Block to stay with the BJP, at least the cabinet rank. But there are several other ministries that the partners are eyeing as we speak. There will, of course, be that very crucial meeting, which is an NDA MPs meeting, where the Prime Minister will be addressing the coalition members of the Parliament, soon to be, of course, sworn in as members of the 18th Lok Sabha. He will be addressing them in the Central Hall of the old building of Parliament tomorrow at 11 a.m. But the back channel conversations are already on. It's almost man-to-man marking shift because the BJP has deputed several top leaders with each of these alliance partners so that, the negotiations can continue, the back and forth can continue until, of course, that final list reaches the top leadership of the Bharatiya Janata Party. While the BJP in itself has been in a huddle since early this morning, obviously since the June 4th itself, where they are, of course, basically pointing out as to who among their 240 MPs could be given roles within the Union Council of Ministers. Several, of course, wish lists have reached the BJP already, but like I said, key ministries will stay with the BJP. Lok Sabha Speaker's position, a very key position, will stay with the Bharatiya Janata Party. But after all these years, we might just see a Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha. That could go to the TDP. We're still waiting for word from the from the BJP on this. But yes, Chandrababu Naidu is known to be a hard bargainer, and he will ensure that given the indispensable position he is in right now, he makes the most of it, Shiv.
Abdul, I want to know a question that a lot of people are curious about is about the Naidu-Modi dynamic. These are two leaders who go back a long way. They've known each other, in the past when they were leaders in the state. They're both reputed to be efficient executors. There was the Andhra model, there was the Gujarat model. They know each other personally as well. What are the things you are picking up about the Naidu-Modi dynamic that will become something that we will all see in the days ahead? Abdul. Okay, Abdul can't hear me. Let's go to let me take that to Akshita. Akshita, if you heard my question, go ahead. Okay, both our reporters have disconnected. I'll go back to them in just a bit. Okay. The NDA's key ally, the other key ally apart from Chandrababu Naidu, Nitish Kumar, has also placed the JDU's first big demand before the BJP. He's asked a review of the Agnipath scheme for military recruitment. And that's not all. There's a churn in the NDA camp with both kingmakers Nitish and Naidu, like you just heard our reporters say, demanding plum posts in the cabinet. Because this is what allies do. They have power that they didn't have before. This report, with exclusive inside details, tells you everything we can confirm so far.
As Narendra Modi gears up to take oath for the third time as India's Prime Minister, allies in the NDA camp are already piling pressure on the BJP. Nitish Kumar-led JDU has sought a review of the Agniveer, the new scheme implemented by the Modi government to induct soldiers, which gives only a 4-year term to 75% of the recruits.
अग्निवीर योजना को में नए तरीके से सोचने की आवश्यकता है। सुरक्षा कर्मी थे जो सेनाओं पे तैनात थे, उसके बाद जब अग्निवीर योजना आई तो एक बड़े तबके में असंतोष था। मेरा ऐसा भी मानना, उनके परिवारजनों ने भी चुनाव में विरोध जाहिर किया, लिहाजा इस पर नए तरीके से विचार विमर्श करने की आवश्यकता है।
As the Lok Sabha elections progressed, the anger over Agniveer has forced even the BJP to promise a review. Not just Agniveer, the Modi government, which enjoyed a clear majority in the first 2 terms, could face more heat on some key ideological agendas like Uniform Civil Code and One Nation One Poll.
यूसीसी पर नीतीश कुमार जी ने चिट्ठी लिखी थी विधि आयोग के अध्यक्ष को, जिसमें उन्होंने कहा था कि हम इसके खिलाफ नहीं हैं, लेकिन इसमें व्यापक विचार विमर्श की आवश्यकता है। जितने भी स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, राज्यों के मुख्यमंत्री हैं, डिफरेंट पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज हैं, सबके साथ मिल करके विचार विमर्श करके कोई यूनिफाइड फॉर्म निकालना चाहिए।
Another challenge could be the caste consensus, which became a poll issue in the Hindi heartland but had no resonance in South India.
आप कास्ट सेंसस कब हुआ आप जानते नहीं, आप भूल गए। आप बोलिए ना, हम तो 9 पार्टियों को बैठा करके किए, तो हमने सबको बुलाया तो हमने किया है जी। उस समय तो अपोजिशन दूसरे तरफ था, उन लोगों को भी कहे थे और ले भी गए थे। और क्या होना चाहिए ये आप अच्छी तरह नहीं जानते हैं। कितने लोग किस काम को करेंगे वो सब मेरा किया हुआ है ना जी।
According to me, all census anyway you have to do it. Per capita income you can measure every individual and family and a village and a mandal. Accordingly you can have programs. My idea is skill census.
Skill census. You are saying instead of a caste census, you need a skill census to monitor the skills that people have.
Yeah.
The immediate challenge is the allocation of ministers. The BJP top brass is walking the tightrope as it gets down to finalizing the portfolios. Prime Minister Modi's allies Nitish Kumar, Chandrababu Naidu, Eknath Shinde and Kumaraswamy are eyeing plum posts.
The initial information what I received is that we were asking about 6 portfolios, which are all crucial portfolios. But this is a request what we put forward. So there is a room for negotiation and discussion. Definitely we have asked for certain key portfolios with a larger interest of the state in mind.
Sources in the BJP say that the leadership will draw a Lakshman Rekha and not buckle under its allies' pressure. The Saffron Party is likely to retain defence, finance, agriculture, external affairs, railways, road and transport, home ministry along with the speaker post. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now let's just show you a little bit about the NDA's portfolio strategy as we understand it at this point of time. Remember, everything is up in the air, everything is in a churn, everything is in a flex. But here's how things are actually working out. Now, the BJP is definitely retaining the Defence Ministry. It is definitely retaining the Finance Ministry. It is definitely retaining the Home Ministry. It's definitely retaining the External Affairs Ministry. It's definitely retaining the Ministry of Agriculture, Railways Ministry, Agriculture Ministry, Road and Transport Ministry, Speaker's Post, etc. are up in the air. But the ministries that are considered the Cabinet of Cabinet on Security ministries, those will not be up for grabs. The BJP is very firm that it will not give up those portfolios, which include finance, home, defence and external affairs. Those will not be given to the allies. The JDU may get, we are told, rural development, Panchayati Raj. The TDP could get civil aviation potentially, Ministry of Steel, and possibly, like our reporter Polami just said, the Deputy Speaker's post. The Shiv Sena of Shinde, or the Shinde Sena, would get perhaps the Ministry of Heavy Industry. So those are what the calculations are telling us at this point of time. Polami is live with us. Okay, we've got some breaking news coming in first. But the BJP is arming itself against any potential arm twisting by its allies. Sources are telling us that the BJP will not bow down to any big demands of the JDU, any demands that might seem outsized. The BJP will work only under the rules of alliance and alliance dharma. The BJP will follow coalition dharma. I mean, these are sentences that nobody has heard for the last 10 years, be it division of ministries or numbers of ministers. The BJP will take care of the concerns of its allies. It will take its allies all along. So, sabka saath, sabka vishwas as far as coalition dharma is concerned. The BJP is also in contact with independent MPs and small parties, so its actual total tally could swell by a few numbers. Polami is live with us. Polami, the push and pull for portfolios is obviously in full play right now ahead of that big NDA meeting tomorrow. But I would be very surprised, shocked rather, if the Cabinet Committee on Security Ministries, Finance, Home, Defence, External Affairs, are even on the table. Are they on the table? I don't think so.
Absolutely not. They're definitely not on the table. None of the parties that at least we're aware of have in fact demanded those ministries in terms of cabinet rank, but we do know that MOS rank positions are definitely being sought. The TDP, at least the source I have spoken to, once has said that part of the wish list is an MOS position in the finance ministry, because it just makes sense, because remember one of the earlier contentions as far as the TDP was concerned, when it in fact left the NDA in 2018 after having been a part of it, was the fact that funds were not being released for the state of Andhra Pradesh in the way that it was making demands. So to have someone with an in the finance ministry would possibly be part of the wish list of the TDP. Some sources on the ground telling my colleagues that even an in the home ministry is what the TDP wants. So yes, as far as cabinet rank is concerned, they'll stay with the Bharatiya Janata Party. They're not parting with that. They'll stick with the Speaker's position as well. The Speaker's position will stay with the Bharatiya Janata Party as well. But there are several ministries, colleagues reporting about civil aviation, for instance. Yeah. Civil aviation in the past has been with the TDP when it was in government with this very NDA Sarkar. Ashok Gajapati Raju was the civil aviation minister. So it's very likely it could go back to the TDP as well. Not a ministry that the BJP has not parted with in the past, so they could do do that again as well. But there are crucial ministries like rural development, like agriculture, like road transport, like urban housing and urban affairs. Jal Shakti, is also a very crucial ministry. We don't hear of it much, but yes. Jal Shakti is also vied for by alliance partners. So these are going to be very crucial in the give and take that takes place between the NDA constituents.
So the Council of Ministers, for the first time in a decade, is going to be a rainbow. It's no longer, just a Bhajpa Mantralaya. It's going to be a full coalition Council of Ministers, Poulomi. How is the system preparing for that? The system has gotten used to a brute majority, only BJP ministers. I mean, of course, there are MOSs and others from the allies, but now it is no longer just a favor being done or a customary measure. This is something the BJP has to do now.
Absolutely. The BJP will have to work along with its constituents. The constituents will have a big say as well in various decisions that are taken, because remember that the BJP is, for instance, a smaller partner in the state of Andhra Pradesh, where the TDP is leading the charge. So, yes, the BJP has to take all of these partners on board and ensure that, their voices are heard as well, that, any policy decisions that they make vis-a-vis their own ministries, they have enough of a say. And is not a top-down approach as far as, policy making or bureaucratic decisions are concerned. So it's going to be very different. But as we were discussing earlier as well, don't put it past Narendra Modi that he wouldn't know how to handle a coalition, because he's not done that in the past as Gujarat Chief Minister or as Prime Minister over the last decade. I'm sure he does realize the responsibilities that come with running a coalition government, though it is going to be a tightrope walk, but it is a situation that he's most likely going to adapt to. But then again we add that disclaimer that these are partners, right, who can and have been fickle in the past. TDP has left the NDA alliance in the past in 2018. Nitish Kumar is infamously seen as someone who's an opportunist. So various, fickle partners on board as well. Eknath Shinde will look for his own pound of flesh if the BJP is to, go into the Maharashtra Assembly elections as a stronger Mahayuti. All of these factors will be borne in mind by the BJP.
All right, Poulomi, thanks very much for that. We're going to hear more from Poulomi and our political team in the hours ahead, because things are moving very, very fast now. Mr. Naidu is about to get on a flight later today to dash back to Delhi for that big NDA meeting. Let me just also get you some more breaking news coming in right now. The Maldives president from the country that India has just had a pretty ugly diplomatic spat with has also been invited for the oath-taking ceremony in the spirit of inviting all of India's neighbors and SAARC countries. Modi has invited President Muizu of Maldives for the oath-taking ceremony that is scheduled for June the 9th, that is Sunday, at 6 p.m. So President Muizu, whose party had been taking pot shots at the Modi Sarkar and had resulted in an ugly sort of diplomatic fracas between the two countries, has now been invited for the swearing-in ceremony that takes place on Sunday evening. Well, that's the way the world works. Diplomacy is something that depends on continuity, and it is, after all, a Modi Sarkar. It is NDA 3.0, but it is a Modi Sarkar that is coming back, a landmark achievement, and all of India's neighbors have been invited to be part of that ceremony scheduled for June the 9th. Gaurav Sawant is live with me for more on this. Gaurav, diplomacy continues. The ugly spat with Maldives aside, all of India's neighbors will be in Delhi on June the 9th for that swearing-in ceremony of, let's face it, no matter what anybody says, the third Modi government.
This truly is historic and actually moves forward along Prime Minister Narendra Modi's stated line of taking the entire neighborhood together. Of course, barring that state sponsor of terror, Pakistan. But look, Shiv, you and I reported when Prime Minister Narendra Modi won his first mandate in 2014 as Prime Minister, he'd invited the entire SAARC neighborhood, including Pakistan, incidentally, that point of time. So 2014, when he became Prime Minister, all the SAARC heads of state and government were invited. Pakistan's Prime Minister, then Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, was also here. This time it's Bangladesh, Bhutan, Maldives, Mauritius. All the heads of state and government have been invited. More than 90 countries' heads of state and governments have called up Prime Minister Narendra Modi or written to him, congratulating him on his historic third mandate. It's his third tenure, the first time in India after 1962 that a Prime Minister returns for a third tenure, and with 240 seats, more than the entire opposition put together. So while he doesn't have majority on his own, the pre-poll alliance, the NDA, has 292, 20 comfortable above the 272 mark. So the neighborhood notices it, the world notices it, and foreign policy has been strong and very high on the Prime Minister's agenda.
All right, Geeta Mohan's also live with us for more on this story. Geeta, neighborhood first on that, Modi's third swearing-in ceremony that's scheduled for this Sunday. The India-Maldives fracas lit up the headlines for many days together, but it looks like all of that gets sort of sidestepped for the big ceremony this Sunday.
Well, it's a very, very important strategic move, Shiv. The fact that we've seen Muizzu come at the back of the India Out campaign in the Maldives, following which he insisted on troop withdrawal from the Maldives, which were basically there for emergency medical services. And that has also happened. And now the Indian administration engaging and reaching out to the Maldives, a very important one, given the importance that China now holds, or the sway that China holds in the Maldives. So this is a strategic move, and Shiv, it has come a full circle. When the entire India Out or the Boycott Maldives movement was on, we were the only channel to reach the Maldives, cover it, and I had been saying the importance of the Maldives. The troll army coming out and saying we should boycott does not work when the leadership then starts meeting. This is that moment. Leadership is going to meet. The Maldives is strategic, and it will remain strategic for India.
Very, very important. President Muizzu is going to be here. Well, he's been invited. We'll get a confirmation from Maldives about whether he's going to be here for that swearing-in ceremony. All indications are that he will be, along with all the other countries. Well, troll armies aside, India-Maldives relations definitely continue. Thanks, Geeta and Gaurav, for getting us that. More breaking news coming in. It's a high-tempo 5 Live today. And there's been an ugly incident at the Chandigarh airport, an apparent altercation between freshly minted Himachal MP Kangana Ranaut, the star actor, and a CISF security constable at the airport. This fracas between Kangana and the woman constable has partially been caught on camera. Kangana has alleged that she was manhandled or even hit at the airport by the security constable. The details are a little sketchy at this point. The video that we have on our screen shows the aftermath of it. We're not sure exactly what happened, but I want to go across to India today. Is Kamaljeet Sandhu for more on this. Kamaljeet, what happened at the Chandigarh airport?
Well, Kangana Ranaut was supposed to take a scheduled Vistara flight because there is an NDA meeting tomorrow, and she seemed very excited. She had even mentioned that on the social media that she's headed towards the parliament. But meanwhile, when she entered Chandigarh airport, Constable Kulwinder Kaur is the one, and there seems to be, when she went into the check-in room, she was upset about Kangana's recent statement on the farmers, and that is where she seems to have allegedly slapped Kangana Ranaut, and that is where there seems to be the team which came in and they tried to kind of stop the incident. But meanwhile, a visibly upset Kangana Ranaut was escorted from there. We've been told the constable has been taken to the CO's room and she has been detained there. Instructions have gone from senior officers that a case should be registered against her because this lady was in uniform, she was on duty. And meanwhile, Kangana Ranaut, who's a fresh member of parliament, completely shocking as to how things have really transpired at Chandigarh airport. Meanwhile, it does seem that Kangana Ranawat along with her team have managed to reach Delhi airport. She's already in talks with DG Neena Singh. We tried to get a reaction from CISF. They seemed rather tight-lipped. Punjab Police, meanwhile, has also reached Chandigarh airport and they are investigating into this. And obviously, they will be looking at CCTV. They will be questioning her. But our sources do indicate that she's hit a member of parliament.
Kamal,
so in that case,
thanks very much. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you on the story. Rahul Gandhi of the Congress is addressing the press. Let's listen.
Okay. नहीं देखिए, आज हम बड़ी इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ के बारे में आपको कहना चाहते हैं. पहली बार हमने नोट किया कि चुनाव के समय प्रधानमंत्री ने, होम मिनिस्टर ने और फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने स्टॉक मार्केट पर टिप्पणी दी. प्रधानमंत्री ने 2-3 बार 4 बार देश को कहा कि स्टॉक मार्केट तेजी से आगे बढ़ने जा रही है. होम मिनिस्टर ने सीधा कहा कि 4 जून को स्टॉक मार्केट आसमान में जाएगी, लोगों को खरीदना चाहिए. और यही मैसेज फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने दिया. फर्स्ट, ये आज थोड़ा हम तो ये क्रोनोलॉजी है. अमित शाह कहते हैं बाय शेयर्स बिफोर 4 जून. 19 में नरेंद्र मोदी जी कहते हैं स्टॉक मार्केट विल ब्रेक रिकॉर्ड्स ऑन जून 4. फिर 28 मई को रिपीट करते हैं. 1 जून मीडिया झूठे एग्जिट पोल रिलीज करती है. बीजेपी का ऑफिशियल जो इंटरनल सर्वे था वो उनको 220 सीट दे रहा था. तो ये इंफॉर्मेशन बीजेपी के लीडर्स के पास था. इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसीज ने 200 और 220 के बीच में सरकार को बताया था कि उनकी सीट्स आ रही हैं. 3 जून को स्टॉक मार्केट सारे रिकॉर्ड तोड़ देता है और 4 जून को खटाक से स्टॉक मार्केट अंडरग्राउंड चला जाता है. अगला स्लाइड दिखाइए जरा. ये देखिए 31 मई मैसिव stock activity, more than double what was there on 30th, more than double what was there on 29, 28. ये anomaly देखिए. ये कौन लोग हैं? ये वो लोग हैं जो जानते हैं कि कोई ना कोई घपला हो रहा है. हजारों करोड़ रुपए यहां पे इन्वेस्ट हुए हैं. फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर्स ने इन्वेस्ट किए हैं और उसके बाद 30 लाख करोड़ रुपए का लॉस होता है. किसका लॉस होता है? रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स का लॉस होता है. तो ये जो आप देख रहे हैं हिंदुस्तान की स्टॉक मार्केट की हिस्ट्री का सबसे बड़ा स्कैम है. और इसके बारे में हम कुछ सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं. पहला सवाल, why did PM and HM give specific investment advice to the 5 crore families investing in the stock market? Is it their job to give investment advice? Second, why both interviews were given to the same media house owned by the same business group which is also under SEBI investigation for manipulating stock market? Third, what is the connection between the BJP, the fake exit pollsters and the dubious foreign investors who invested 1 day before the exit polls were announced and made a huge profit at the cost of 5 crore families. We demand a JPC into this. We are absolutely convinced that this is a scam. Somebody has made thousands of crores of rupees at the cost of Indian retail investors, and the Prime Minister and the Home Minister have given an indication to buy. And this is a criminal act. So we demand today a joint parliamentary committee to investigate this. मैं हिंदी में बोल देता हूं, प्रधानमंत्री ने देश की जनता को इन्वेस्टमेंट एडवाइस क्यों दी और 5 करोड़ परिवारों को जो इन्वेस्ट करते हैं उनको प्रधानमंत्री ने, होम मिनिस्टर ने स्टॉक खरीदने का आदेश क्यों दिया? दूसरा, दोनों इंटरव्यूज जो किए गए थे वो अदानी जी के जो चैनल्स हैं उनको दिए गए थे, उन पर सेबी का इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो रहा है, तो उन चैनल्स का क्या रोल है? और बीजेपी के बीच में जो फेक एग्जिट पोलस्टर्स हैं और ये जो फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर्स हैं, इनके बीच में क्या कोई रिश्ता है? और अगर रिश्ता है तो क्या है? हम जेपीसी चाहते हैं, हम इन्वेस्टिगेशन चाहते हैं और देश इसकी सच्चाई जानना चाहता है। धन्यवाद।
शुक्रिया राहुल जी। साथियों, अभी अभी राहुल जी ने आपको स्पष्ट तरीके से क्रोनोलॉजी समझ लिया है। बार बार गृह मंत्री कहते थे अब क्रोनोलॉजी समझिए। आज राहुल जी ने देश को क्रोनोलॉजी समझाया है। इसके ऊपर अगर आपके सवाल हैं तो एक एक करके आप पूछेंगे, एक एक करके।
I haven't said the chronology in English, so I'll say the chronology in English. 13th May 2024, the Home Minister says, buy shares before 4th of June. This is a clear indication to retail investors and others to buy stock. 19th May, for the first time, and then repeatedly until the 28th May, the Prime Minister says that the stock market is going to break records on 4th June. Finally, on 1st June, completely fictitious exit polls are released. These investors are given a completely wrong impression. And on the 3rd of June, as we all know, the stock market breaks all records and then crashes on the 4th of June. Whoever has made money as the stock market rose and also as the stock market crashed. And we are interested in having a joint parliamentary committee, a JPC, to investigate the role of the Prime Minister, the role of the Home Minister, role of BJP members, and also those people who have done these fake exit polls. And finally, we want to understand who are the people, these foreign investors, who did these trades. So we want an investigation for that.
शुक्रिया राहुल जी। हाँ संजय।
राहुल जी, इससे पहले भी आपने अदानी इशू पे जेपीसी पिछली लोकसभा में मांग की थी, तो क्या आप चाहेंगे कि ये इशू और हिंडनबर्ग इशू दोनों कंबाइन हो और दोनों की जांच हो?
ये जो इशू है, this is a broader issue than just the Adani issue. It is connected to the Adani issue, but this is a much broader issue. This is directly the Prime Minister of India, Home Minister, who are privy to data on actual election results, who have IB reports, who have their own data, who are advising retail investors to buy stock on the 4th. This has never happened before. And by the way, the Prime Minister has never commented on stock market before this. This is the first time the Prime Minister has commented, very interestingly, and multiple times, one after the other, saying that stock market is going to boom, stock market is going to boom, stock market is going to boom. And at the same time, he has information that the exit polls are wrong. He has information that he knows what is going to happen because he has IB data and he also has his own party data.
हाँ जी रवि।
कई चैनलों ने मिलकर ये सब चीज किया है, जिस तरह से एग्जिट पोल करके लोगों को गुमराह किया है, जिस तरह से शेयर बाजार में सारा कुछ हुआ है, जी न्यूज ने भी इस मामले को उठाया है और बताया है। और आपके कहने का सीधा अर्थ है कि अडानी को इसका फायदा उठाने के लिए किया गया है?
नहीं, मेरा कहने का ये अर्थ है कि उसमें अडानी इन्वॉल्व हो सकता है, मगर ये अडानी से बहुत बड़ी चीज है। इसमें बीजेपी के सबसे बड़े नेताओं ने कहा है, रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स को मैसेज दिया है कि आपको स्टॉक खरीदना चाहिए। उनके पास इंफॉर्मेशन थी कि एग्जिट पोल्स गलत हैं, उनके पास इंफॉर्मेशन थी कि बीजेपी को फुल मेजॉरिटी नहीं मिलने वाली है और वो जानते थे 3 जून को और 4 जून को क्या होने वाला है। कितने का 30 लाख, कितना 30 लाख करोड़ का नुकसान हुआ है? कितने का? 30 लाख करोड़ रुपए का नुकसान हुआ है और हजारों लाखों करोड़ रुपए का चुने हुए लोगों को फायदा हुआ है। और हम इंक्वायरी चाहते हैं प्रधानमंत्री पर, होम मिनिस्टर पर, जिन्होंने एग्जिट पोल किया उन पर, और ये जो फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर्स हैं उन पर।
हाँ शेमिन।
Do you want to explain? This is based on the value, market value of all the companies the day before the results came, and the market value of the stock markets of all the companies at the end of the day on results.
हाँ संजीव। एक मिनट संजीव।
Rahulji, you've talked about, are you alleging the involvement of the Prime Minister and the Home Minister?
Yes.
And whose money is it?
Yes,
are you saying
that is what I am
money?
saying. I am saying that people very high up in the BJP have carried out this scam. I am saying they had partners who carried out these exit polls. We would like to know if these exit polls were actually carried out, if people were actually sent out. And we'd also like to know the methodology of these polls. We'd like to understand who these investors are. We have some sense of who these investors are. So we are not just speaking out of the air. We are confident that if an investigation is done, interesting things will be revealed. And we think the Prime Minister and Home Minister are directly involved in this.
Siddharth.
Actor Kangana Ranaut, the new Member of Parliament from the BJP from Mandi in Himachal Pradesh, has allegedly been slapped by an angry constable at the Chandigarh airport. Information coming in suggests that Kangana was slapped by a constable over her previous remarks on the farmers' issues, but little more information is coming in from the ground right now. There was an altercation during her security check at the Chandigarh airport where Kangana Ranaut was allegedly manhandled and slapped by an angry young constable who did not like Kangana's previous comments on the farmers' protest and farmers' issues. And then someone from Kangana's team apparently attacked the constable back. This alleged altercation took place today at the Chandigarh airport. The person involved is a CISF woman constable, and she has been taken aside by her commanding officer. So this has become a case right now at the Chandigarh airport. Kamaljeet Sandhu continues to be with us live from Chandigarh. Aman Bharadwaj is also live with us from Chandigarh. Aman, can you tell us what took place, what exactly happened? The information we have right now suggests that the constable, okay, we've got, not Aman, we've got Aman Bharadwaj is with us. Aman, what happened? We are told that the constable slapped Kangana Ranaut over her previous comments on farmers.
Well, exactly. Well, this is what sources from airport been telling us, and this is a right security point from where Kangana checked in, and when she entered this place after SHA, the security holding area, the Kulvinder Kaur was posted. Here she's a constable in CISF, and after when she was checking, making her check with the security, so after arguing, she slapped on Kangana's face. This is what sources has told us from the airport, and after which it's been learned that the remarks that Kangana made on farmers when the farmer agitation was taking place in Delhi, she called farmers that they are paid for a day for agitation, and the remarks that she made on the female farmers, that was the reason, because Kulvinder Kaur is basically from Punjab, and she belongs to Punjab, and she was emotionally attached to that sentiments, to the remarks that Kangana made, and that made her slapping Kangana. After which Mayank Mathur, who's in Kangana's team, reverted back in physical means. He also slapped, that's been told, and after which Kangana, mentioning that she'll file a complaint regarding it, she passed from here, from the security area. She was scheduled for 3:30 p.m. Vistara UK 707 flight, for which Kangana checked in here in Chandigarh airport, and now it's a recent update that she landed in Delhi airport. But this slap incident had just shocked everyone, that CISF, because Mr. Mishra, who's commandant of CISF here, he's been interrogating the constable Kulvinder Kaur from last 40 minutes, 40 to 50 minutes, that why this incident has taken place, why she slapped, and internal inquiry or internal interrogation is also taking place, because this is related to CISF. So much information is not leaked out, but as it's related to the reputation also of CISF and security related to MP or the airport, so that seeing that much information is not circulated out.
I understand.
This is what sources from airport has told us, that right.
Stay with me, Aman. I want to bring in Kamaljeet Sandhu also in on this. Kamal, what more are you hearing about what took place? There still appears to be, a little bit of confusion regarding what sources are telling us. As we understand it, there was some kind of an altercation in the airport, or was this, anger by the constable over Kangana's previous political remarks on farmers during the farmer agitation? What are you hearing?
First of all, let me tell you, everybody seems to be rather flabbergasted, whether it's the intelligence agencies or the security. And remember, she is one of the most protected celebrities. She has Y+ security from the CRPF, which covers her round the clock. And what seems to have transpired is that she was heading towards Delhi. She came to Chandigarh airport wearing a pink sari. That's when she went in. And that is where, one-on-one, she went in a private segment where checking is done. And that is where the Constable Kulvinder seems to have taken advantage of the situation and has allegedly slapped her. Now, obviously, leading up to tempers really running high, we also know that Kangana's own secretary, the media advisor, Mayank Mathur, seems to have tried to kind of intervene, and then there are visuals which are now available, and obviously the passerbys who were quite stunned to see this entire altercation taking place. She's obviously made up her mind that she's not only going to complain to the police but also to the Home Ministry. CISF on its part has been extremely tight-lipped. Meanwhile, what they've done is set up an internal probe inquiring into the entire slapgate. We've also been told that DG Neena Singh has rushed to Delhi airport, and she's obviously speaking one-on-one with Kangana Ranaut. And what we've been told by our sources at high-level places is that there is going to be a police case against Kulvinder Kaur. She is a person who was in uniform, so she has to protect the passengers and not attack them. So this is where things really going awry, especially for security scenario, and we'll really see whether there's going to be an upgrade as far as the security is concerned. We have also been told that Kangana Ranaut per se did not really interact in the first half with this constable. It does seem that the constable herself was provoked, and she's the one who slapped Kangana Ranaut leading up to all this altercation. Meanwhile, Kangana, who was taken aside, they tried to calm her down, and obviously she did take the Vistara flight, and she is in Delhi. She's supposed to be in Leela Palace, and tomorrow is a big day when she goes to the park. Parliament. But before that, taken really by surprise and shock as to how this really transpired. But meanwhile, this is also a warning for security setup as to why this is really happening, because obviously this will cause a lot of sensitivities. Punjab Police has sent its top officials
The
at the
breaking
airport.
news coming in now, Kamal. The breaking news coming in now is an inquiry committee has been set up to probe this slapping incident. Kangana Ranaut making headlines a day after that big verdict. She's the new member of parliament from Mandi. She is a protected individual. She claims she's been slapped by CISF constable Kulvinder Kaur. She's the soldier in that picture, serving at the Chandigarh airport. Anger over Kangana's intemperate remarks on farmers is believed to be the reason why the security constable attacked Kangana and then was apparently attacked back by someone in Kangana's entourage. We keep keeping an eye on this story. An inquiry committee has been set up to probe it. We'll keep you posted.